the stranded woman suddenly spotted a commercial airliner. Sitting quietly in the middle of a deserted canyon, she thought she had finally found a way back home. But as she slowly walked toward the plane, something immediately felt wrong. No matter how loudly she shouted for help, there was no response from the massive aircraft. Instead, it gave off an eerie, unsettling feeling. Anna's heart instantly sank. Something about this plane was clearly not right. Even so, despite her fear, Anna forced herself to keep searching. She quickly climbed up the ladder, then she carefully crawled into the mysterious cabin. The moment she stepped inside, she was completely stunned by what she saw. The entire cabin was eerily empty. When she pushed open the cockpit door, she finally broke down the worn-out control panel. The exposed wiring and the long-dead communication system all pointed to one terrifying fact. This airplane had been abandoned for a very long time. A wave of disappointment washed over her. But Anna refused to give up. She headed into the passenger cabin. The greater her hope, the greater her disappointment. After searching the entire plane, the only thing she found that might be useful was an empty bucket. Just as Anna was running out of ideas, she glanced out the window. In that instant, a plan came to mind. She immediately made her way to the landing gear. Using all her strength, he pushed one of the tires outside. As the flames slowly grew, thick black smoke began rising into the sky. You would think Anna would stay there and wait for rescue. Instead, she hurried to the river. Using a plastic cup, she repeatedly filled the empty bucket with water. But every few moments, he kept looking into the distance, as if something precious was waiting for her. Even more strangely, although she was desperately thirsty, she would rather struggle to carry the heavy bucket than take a single sip herself. When Anna finally reached her destination, she was met with a heartbreaking sight. The little boy, who had been full of energy, was now lying motionless with his eyes tightly shut. Red blotches had spread across his pale face. Anna couldn't believe what she was seeing. No matter how desperately she pounded on the car window and called out, the little boy didn't respond. He looked as though he had simply fallen asleep. With no time to waste, Anna quickly lifted the bucket onto the roof of the car. She poured every drop of the precious, fresh water over the glass roof to lower the scorching temperature inside. At last, her efforts paid off. The little boy's finger twitched ever so slightly. That tiny movement was enough to make the devastated Anna burst into tears of joy. Determined to save him as quickly as possible, Anna made a bold decision. She gathered a pile of dry branches, then she stacked them in front of the car. Without hesitation, she lit them. With her lighter, as white smoke slowly drifted upward, Anna frantically waved her arms, trying to force the smoke into the car's ventilation system. She hoped this would trigger the vehicle's emergency unlock feature. But instead of unlocking, the smart car began blasting warning messages. It even shut down its own ventilation system. Realizing she had made a terrible mistake, Anna had no choice but to pour out the last of her precious fresh water to put out the fire. By then, the temperature inside the car had climbed to a staggering 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Seeing the little boy unconscious from the heat, Anna could no longer stand by and do nothing. In desperation, she gripped a large wrench with both hands and swung it at the car's nano-reinforced, bulletproof body with all her strength. She first smashed the hood several times. Then she jammed the wrench into the door handle, trying to pry the lock open. When that failed, she climbed onto the roof and repeatedly struck the glass. But the vehicle was simply built too well. Anna's heart sank. Couldn't help regretting ever buying a car that was this indestructible, as if things weren't bad enough. Her frantic blows caused the vehicle to suddenly start rolling. Anna immediately threw herself behind the car and pushed against it with all her strength. Even though her small frame stood no chance against a vehicle weighing several tons, she refused to let go because at the end of the road was an unprotected cliff in just a few more moments. The car and the little boy inside would plunge straight into the abyss.